Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Aurora City Council's Committee of the Whole meeting. It is Monday, January 25th, 2016. Ms. Martin, please call the roll.
Ms. Barner?
Present.
Ms. Grandillo? Mr. Hattrich?
Here.
Mr. Horvat?
Here.
Mr. Kovach?
Present.
Mr. Cudley?
Here.
Ms. McDougall?
Present.
Mr. Vaca? Mr. Wolf?
Here.
Thank you. First item on our agenda is the approval of the minutes for January 11th, 2016. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and second to approve the minutes. Any additions, comments, corrections? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Hearing none, those minutes are adopted for the January 11th, 2016 meeting. Our Finance Director's report. I want to welcome Mr. Tim Clymer to our meeting. This is your first official viewing by the public.
Sir.
Viewing, that sounds bad. So, go ahead, Mr. Clymer.
All right, thank you, Chairman Cudley. Good evening, Council. First off, I'd like to thank the city and all the employees I've encountered in the past couple weeks. Everybody's really welcomed me with open arms and kind of gone out of their way to make sure I'm comfortable here. I really appreciate that. I'm happy here already, and I know this is a good place. I'd also like to thank Bob Paul and our Finance Department staff. They helped make sure we had an easy transition for me, and I appreciate that greatly, too. The report I gave out for Council, it followed Bob's format that he used in his reports previously, and I plan on following his style when I speak to you guys in these meetings also. He felt, as do I, that there are three main areas of concern that you as council people should have. One, on the income tax side, in 2015, tax collections came in better than they did in 2014. Two, on the spending side, it's important that your spending stay within the lines of the budget that we approve. On the general fund side in particular, in 2015, we spent 90.4% of our budgeted amount. Those two items, when combined, will affect the third item, your fund balance. For all funds, last year we grew by $1.7 million over 2014. I plan on keeping you guys aware of primarily those three areas because I think that's the most important. And if you're educated on those on an ongoing basis, you'll have a good idea of our financial position at a macro level, at the very least. One thing you'll learn about me is I'm kind of hesitant to gleam optimism about our financial position. While our past couple years have been quite exceptional, our 2016 budget, I think, is very promising also. I won't be completely content with our financial position until we have, as I've talked with many of you one-on-one, a self-sustaining, long-term capital improvement plan across all capital asset classes, your sewer, your sanitary storm, water, roads, buildings, vehicles, you get it. It's important to have a long-term plan for 10, 20 years on how we'll replace or fix these assets, and at the same time how we'll fund it too. It's a lofty goal, it's an ambitious goal, but we could get there. All that said, our city is in a strong financial position. It's better than most cities, and that's a lot in part of the work of Mr. Paul, which I can't thank him enough even though he's not here. And it's my full intent to only improve upon that this year and in the years to come. So if you have any questions for me, I'd be happy to answer them at this time or afterwards one-on-one.
Any comments or questions for Mr. Clymer? All right, good
All right.
job.
Thank you.
Convinced us so far. All right, moving on to new business, the law director's contract. The administration is asking that we forward this to council for its first reading this evening. It's been moved and seconded. Mayor, do you want to address this? Or Mr. It's your contract. Yeah, he doesn't want to. Go ahead.
Well, Mr. DePiro, would you like to address it? I think it just reflects the 2.5% increase that was across the board for non-union employees.
Okay. All right, any comments or questions for the mayor regarding that? Okay. All in favor of forwarding that to council for its first reading this evening, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, that motion passes. Item B under new business is a codified ordinance, section 125.01 amendment. Who's going to speak to this? No one's going to speak to it. Mr. DePiro? It's okay. Mayor?
Yes, thank you. There were a couple sections that the law department identified as needing to be revised because of the elimination of some of the old committees, including Finance Committee, and this is one of those. It deletes a reference to the Finance Committee.
Okay. This and the next one both reflect that change.
Correct.
Okay. So item B is being requested just go on to our regular agenda. Do I have a motion?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to forward item B to our regular agenda. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, that motion passes. Item C is another amendment to section 177.01 of our codified ordinances, again reflecting a change in the wording. Do I have a motion? And this will go on to our regular agenda. It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Hearing none, that motion passes. Item D under new business is a road resurfacing project for portions of State Route 43 and 82. It's being asked that this be forwarded to council and suspended to take an action this evening. Mr. True?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you. Yeah, this is a project we started back in 2009. The original legislation authorized ODOT to proceed with this project, and this is the final legislation right now which we're requesting. The city's responsibility is to be $352,168. That's 20% of the project. The total project is estimated at $1.7 million. This is quite a bit of paving. It's all the way from the on 82 from Summit County or Twinsburg Township line all the way up to 43, and then from 43 at that point all the way back to the Streetsboro line. This will be a milling and filling and also some full depth repairs on these streets. And there's also on 43, it's a little bit near Bank Street, a little past Squires, where the pavement terminated last time when we did the water line in the 43 project, and also to the Geauga County line up there by the marketplace where it stops at actually Lake Street's where it terminates. But all that paving will be done this year. ODOT's looking for us to get this done swiftly so they can bid it. They've been knocking on the door trying to get this project bid, and one of the first projects should be done. It'll be hopefully July or something to that nature. That early it could be done as early as July, maybe late July, but earlier if everything goes swift in the bidding projects.
Okay, do we have a motion to forward this?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Ms. McDougall?
Thank you, Councilman Cudley. Can you just help me understand a little more why we have to see this today and bid on it or vote on it today?
They actually wanted it done 2 months ago. Problem is when you do it, their fiscal year ends differently than what ours does. So they would like this bid in the first quarter, and I kept on telling, we hadn't even finished our budget at that time, discussions and everything else when we originally talked to them. And after that, further discussions, they actually wanted it last year, and I said, you can't have it until this year because of our budget also. ODOT, they want everything right now, yesterday. However, when you have fiscal calendars, it doesn't work that way. So that's why they need to do it now so they can bid the project and get also really good prices. Gas prices are so low right now. If they can bid this project now, it's going to come in favorably. If indeed they don't use our 20%, we will get money back, and we have in the past.
Okay, great, thank you.
Mary, you wanted to comment?
Yes, thank you very much. I think the point of this is we have already held off the state, or held them off on a project for our benefit where they're giving us considerable money, and we could not ask you to do anything with it until the budget was presented and passed. And that's why, after holding them off for several months, we would like to get it done tonight. Thank you.
Mr. Horvath?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have a question for Mr. True. Mr. True, when you talk milling, how much will they be taking off? They're not going to be adding any pavement, are they?
Mr. Chairman, to the councilman, no, that's correct. They're milling it down and filling it back in and making sure that established crown is maintained on this road. About 1.5 inches to 2 inches they'll mill. In some areas they'll go down as far as 6 inches where they encounter bad pavement.
Okay.
And then they'll put it back after that.
How does that, so it won't impact any drainage problems anywhere?
No, Mr. Chairman, to the councilman, it'll actually improve, because over the years, the crown and everything else gets worn, especially these high-volume roads, traffic patterns and trucks, they actually wear ruts in the road. It'll correct all those problems.
And we'll stay away from July 4th as best we can.
Mr. Chairman, to the councilman, that is written into the contract. They're not permitted to work on July 4th or any Saturdays or Sundays, only by permission of the mayor on Saturday or Sunday.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Horvat. Mr. True. Mr. Vaca.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. To Mr. True, this is coming down from Squires to the county line, correct?
Mr. True.
Mr. Chairman, to Mr. Vaca,
Where the
approximately where it is, where the old pavement starts.
where the
and
new
begins.
pavement ends and the old started, that's where it's going to go. Because it seems to me that the road is somewhat a mess all the way up until you get to Squires.
I drove it today, and Mr. Chairman, to Mr. Vaca, actually, the waterline project finished at about Bank Street, so it's almost just above Bank Street is where it's actually a mess. After that, the pavement's in pretty good condition.
And then also, the issue with Bank Street and that curve, will that be corrected also?
Mr. True.
At the corner of Bank and Fourth?
Mr. Chairman, with this project, it won't. That's independent, a separate project. Other than this, the curb lane and the curb, there's some issues there. That's correct, but it's not actually in the driving lane at all.
Well, yeah, I understand that. I did notice that it looks like the curbing is starting to sink a little bit. Can we maybe repair that prior to them doing the resurfacing?
Mr. True.
I would like to say we could try to plan to do that. It depends on when this gets bid. If this comes out very early before we get in there, no. But we could actually repair that curb without affecting this road. Because that's the curb, it's not actually the road itself.
I know the curb is
It's the
sinking.
curb, and there's probably an old drainage pipe or something in there. The water service doesn't come off of that road. The water service for that property comes off of Bank Street. We originally thought it was a water service problem. It is not. Their service comes off of Bank Street and not 43.
Well, there's something else, but if I have to, I'll bring it up. It's councilman comments. Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Mr. Wolf.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. True, this doesn't include any type of widening for a bike lane or anything, does it, in either of these instances?
Mr. True.
Mr. Chairman, no, it does not include, this is no widening, this is existing pavement on this.
Right. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Wolf, if I could address the bike lane issue a minute. I have been constantly after Mr. True to see where we could do bike lanes, and we thought we might be able to do them with this new repaving, at least to paint them on. However, he just got an AMATS study, a map of that rates the safety of routes around the area, and looking at ours, the part that's being paved is among the most dangerous, and it's simply not feasible to do. The other issue is, I guess, you can't have speed limits over 35, and some of it is, but the safety rating is not good. We are, however, looking at the safe route through the city, and we are hoping to make some progress on that. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Ms. Barner.
Thank you, Councilman Cudley. Actually, a lot of my questions were already asked, so thank you for answering the mayor in regards to fattening the roads. I recall, Mr. True, you and I had spoke about when you were going to have the ability to pave Route 43. That was something that was in question or presenting to fattening the roads. So I'm assuming that is the answer to that particular, unless we're not talking about that portion of Route 43 that still could be up in the air going into Solon. My second question is, I know we talked about July doing something like this, and obviously Route 43 and Route 82 are heavily traffic areas. How much will this interfere with traffic, if at all, or hopefully it won't? And how long do you anticipate this project to take? So a couple questions there. Thank you.
Mr. True.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, first, on the bike lane, so the position of actually AMETS and actually ODOT is preservation right now, not expansion. They don't want to widen the roads any wider than what they are. And that requires right-of-way acquisition and everything else. So we will not be widening, and 45 is very dangerous to have pedestrian / bicycle traffic with cars. It's actually, from an engineering standpoint, prohibited. You just don't do it. It's a bad recipe, and it's a recipe for a disaster if you do it. The second one is, as far as traffic, the traffic we maintain at all times. The only time we have slight closure will be on Route 82. There is a culvert just past Chesterton down there that will be after renewed. There may be several days of a closure there at times. ODOT will notify us after the contract is let when that will occur, and if so. Yeah, school hours, it'll be fine. It'll be open during school hours. And as far as traffic, it'll be maintained. As far as the contractors and milling, you see most milling operations, as we do, servicing and milling, the same thing, except that a very effectuated area, maybe 500 to 1,000 feet at a time, they'll pave, and within an hour, total traffic will be let back on the road. So the impediments will be very few.
And my last question, how long do you anticipate the project to take?
Mr. Chu?
Project like this, and capacity, probably same contractor, probably get awarded the same bid. Probably a period of 2 weeks, all this work could be done, if the weather's good throughout that.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Seeing no further comments or questions, we have a motion to forward this to council for action this evening. All in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, that motion passes. Item E under new business is a contract with Insight Advisory Group. Ms. Januska?
Yes, Mr. President. This is for professional services with Insight Advisory Group that we have used for the past 2 years. That has helped us with the mixed-use district and developed our design standards for the mixed use. We've been very happy with that work so far, and hopefully some development is going to take off this year. So we would like to keep the options open and keep her on through this year and helping with the JED that will hopefully come about. And we're looking at improving our ABR design guidelines and establishing some design standards, and she's very familiar with the city, so we felt this would be a good continuation into this year.
All right. Mr. Hadrich?
Thank you, Mr. Cody. So this will be the third year that we're paying fees for this company to help us out with the mixed-use district. Is this correct?
Yeah. Yes.
Because we used it the first year when we were getting it built up, and we passed it in last year, no, this year. Just as how many more years are we going to be paying this? Do you have any feel for it whatsoever?
Mr. Januska?
Mr. President, to the councilman, I would hope that once development takes off this year, maybe potentially 1 more year as everything works through, and we get the JED in place, and we work on some grants with her. The design standards that we're hoping to get help with this year is, in addition, we haven't done that before, but that's a new project, and she did really well with the design standards for the mixed use, so we felt it would be a good transition.
Yes, I'm not questioning their work at all.
No.
I think they're doing very well. Could you enlighten me and the council on, I know they're also doing contract work for Bainbridge Township, correct?
Correct.
And is that molding in the same pot as far as trying to, what they're doing, what we're doing, or are you
Yes.
coming to a
Yes.
meeting with it, meeting of the minds?
Because she wrote our mixed use, or helped write ours, she has been able to work with Bainbridge to mirror our regulations so that everything is a cohesive development. And it's just helped greatly with that communication with her from Bainbridge to us and back and forth.
Thank you,
So-
Mr.
Mr. Wolf?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't really have a question. I just wanted to point out that for people that are watching that don't know, there are three aspects to this, and one is working with Bainbridge on the mixed-use development district. The second is the Town Center Overlay District, and then the third is assisting Architectural Board of Review. So this isn't, this is a contract that's just associated with mixed use down in Jogga Lake. There are actually, you know, 3 aspects to it that are going to be coming along with the work that they're going to be doing.
Mr. DePiero.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I just want to add, since the issue of the JED came up, I will let council know that I've been in active conversations with lawyers for Bainbridge Township and Cedar Fair for about the last 4 months on a proposed JED. I think we're getting pretty close to a final document. There's a few items that we're haggling over, and hopefully in the near future I'll be able to bring something to council for your consideration.
Thank you. This will go on to, we'll have a motion to forward this to council for its regular agenda. It's been moved and second to forward this to council on its regular agenda. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, that motion passes. Item F under new businesses, sidewalks, phase 3. Who is Mayor?
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, members of council, we are simply proceeding. Since it takes so long to get sidewalks in through the whole process, we are, this is the 3rd year, theoretically. We have a phase 3, and we're going to do the engineering for phase 3. We don't know what it will show in terms of easements that we will have to acquire, and of course, those will take a while. So we are trying to start ahead of the game to keep this project going. Meanwhile, we still have engineering going on for phase 2, and I think easements are close on the last part of phase 1. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Ms. McDougall.
Thank you, Councilman Cudley. To the mayor, Aurora Hudson, is that to the school?
Mr. Chairman, Ms. McDougall, yes. It's just from 43 to the school drive.
And which side of the street?
The north side.
Okay, great, thank you.
Okay. And it's being asked that this be forwarded to council's regular agenda.
So moved.
Second?
It's been moved and second to forward the sidewalk phase 3 program to council for its regular agenda. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, that motion passes. Item G under new business is an amendment to ordinance for the spelling of Hillary Lane. It was misspelled. We need to add an I to it, so we need a motion to forward this to council.
So moved. It doesn't say Clinton on the back.
Okay. It's,
We won't go there.
it's, do we have a second to that? Okay. It's been moved forward to change Hillary's name.
The bill?
Yeah. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Hearing none, that motion passes. This will be forwarded to council. Item H under new business, the last item is a vehicle purchase for the fire department. Chief Ernst.
This vehicle's a replacement, and this is, like Tim told you about replacing vehicles. 10-year cycle is what we replace vehicles for cars and squads. The vehicle that's being replaced is 12 years old, so sometimes we get a little more, sometimes we get a little less, just depends. This vehicle is a Ford Explorer police package. It'll be used by Assistant Chief Schmader, and his vehicle will be moved down for a school car and the other inspector to use.
What's the next big piece of equipment that will be?
We're doing a squad this year also.
Squad this year.
That one takes a little more time to put stuff together. This
Right.
one's kind of easy being on state bid and everything. But the squad's also on state bid. It just takes more time to get specs together.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Horvat.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chief, he drives a sedan now. Why the switch to the Explorer?
He goes out on construction sites and stuff. He actually had an SUV before, and at the time we purchased the last vehicle that he uses, that was a better deal. And So it just depends what's out there, what's available. But all-wheel drive, get them around the winter, plus on the construction
Is
side.
this is similar to a police?
It's the exact same vehicle the police drive, only ours is gonna be red instead of black and white or black with stickers.
Thank you. Move to recommend, Mr. Chairman.
It's been moved and second to recommend this to council for its regular agenda. Seeing no further comments or questions, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, that motion passes. That brings us to the end of our new business agenda, and we do have items under miscellaneous. And at this meeting, we were to consider council rule changes so that they can be forwarded to council for action if we deem them to be appropriate. I believe we do have one. Ms. McDougall?
Thank you, Councilman Cudley. I regret that Councilman Grandilla's not here because she was part of this discussion or wanted to co-sponsor this. What I'm recommending is that we allow citizen comments at the Committee of the Whole. I did some research. I Googled Committee of the Whole to find out which cities have it, and then I called them to find out whether they allow citizen comments. Lakewood does, no time limit. Fairlawn, yes, no time limit. Stowe, yes, no time limit. Cleveland Heights was the only one that doesn't allow citizen comments. Talmadge, yes, with a 3-minute time limit. And Richmond Heights, yes. So other than Cleveland Heights, there was no city in Ohio that had a committee of a whole that didn't allow people to speak. I just think as representatives of the people, it looks good when we give them the opportunity to share their thoughts on something. I think it needs to be something that's on the agenda. They can't just speak about anything. And I like the idea of putting a time limit so that we're not here, very late. I mean, how many people come to the Committee of the Whole? 1 or 2. So we're really just looking at maybe 5 minutes of our time just to hear what the citizens say. I don't think it's asking a lot, and given the fact that every other city I called except for Cleveland Heights does, I think Aurora should follow suit. Also, all the other meetings we have, even an ad hoc rec meeting, we give citizens the opportunity to share their views. It doesn't mean we have to listen to them, but I think it's good government policy to allow people to express their point of view. So, thank you.
Any questions or comments from members of council on this? Mr. Horvath, were you trying to?
Yeah, it doesn't, it's not registering.
It's not. We'll let you go first then. Okay.
I have a question for Ms. McDougall.
Yes.
Ms. McDougall, the cities you contacted, Talmadge and others, do they also have a council meeting the same day? Number one, it's one question. And number two, how much time do they give during those meetings?
Thank
Ms.
you.
McDougall?
Some of them have the Committee of the Whole meeting the same day, and if that's the case, some of them will limit the time for council or people to comment towards the ends, and that way if we're running up into the next meeting, citizen comments need to end when the next meeting's beginning. Other ones have Committee of the Whole on a different day. So the ones that do have it the same day, like I said, generally will limit that to the time of the next meeting, and if there is no time, then there's no opportunity for comments.
So how much time do they give at their council meetings? Do you know that or no?
I did ask, and some were 3 minutes, some were 5 minutes, and some were none. There was no limit. So I'd say about half had no limit, and the rest of them were 3 or 5 minutes.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Vaca.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. When this issue came up a couple months ago, or about a month or so ago, I brought up a little history about Aurora, how they ran their show. And it was upstairs, the council chambers was upstairs. And they had what they called pre-council meeting. They would go through all the agenda first, get everybody on board, and then at the regular council meeting, which followed it, and then they would vote on it. There would be no voting on the pre-council meeting. I used to refer to as the pre-game warm-ups. At any rate, if you allow citizens to speak, we're getting this information right up front. We don't even know what we're getting into until it's discussed. So how is a citizen supposed to ask questions on something when we don't even know until we find out? To me, it doesn't make any sense. If they want to come here and listen, that's fine, and get on the same page as us. When we get some of this information, we have to read it on the pad here, and we have our questions. But the citizens probably don't have that information, and they're going to come in blind and say, what's that? And virtually, we don't even know either ourselves. Sometimes these issues go on to 2 and 3 readings. Sometimes they're emergency, sometimes they're passed at the same meeting, the following meeting. So I don't see any purpose to have a citizen speak at this particular meeting, because we ourselves are learning what's going to be transpiring that night. So those are the way I feel on that. Thanks.
Any other comments or questions? Mr. Hatridge.
Thank you. When she first missed Councilwoman McDougal brought up, I thought, nah, it's not that bad. But then, as I started thinking more about it, I agree with Mr. Vodka, that, again, this is a working committee, and there's nothing in the rules that prohibits the members, as Mr. Cully's, this is from you.
Yes.
Said that there's nothing in the rules that says we cannot suspend the rules and let someone talk on the subject if they are knowledgeable of it, and hopefully more knowledgeable than we, because again, we're getting it the same day. I'm all for citizen input, I really am. I just think the way we do our council meetings, that it gives the citizens more than ample time. And then we're talking about something that is an ordinance. And now we have worked out hopefully all the kinks, and now we can discuss it and vote on it. So that's where I am. I have, again, agree with Mr. Baca. And this is something that I have not taken lightly. I have really thought about this over the past month, to be honest with you. And so this is where I'm at on it.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? You have a handout that I provided, and sorry I didn't put my name on it, I should have, but there was some thoughts as I thought about this. First, I want to commend Ms. McDougal for bringing this issue before us, and I understand where she's coming from, and I could totally agree with her. If we already didn't provide ample opportunities within our political system in the way that we operate for citizens to participate. Mr. Vaca has already mentioned the fact that our council, our committee of the whole agendas most times don't arrive to us until Thursday afternoon, and it's probably not until Friday that some council people have an opportunity to take a look at that. And so that's our first crack at it. Don't have an opportunity then to necessarily ask administrators or other individuals about that until actually Monday at this point in time. So it's our really first crack at taking a look at a lot of these things. As far as citizens' participation, my memo mentions the fact that we have 14 different committees, boards and commissions that allow 70 citizens to participate in some form or another in making decisions for the city of Aurora. Each meeting allows, our board or commission allows for some type of community input provided under council rules. We meet the second and fourth Mondays of every month. During that, our regular council meetings, there are at least, in some cases, 3 opportunities. There's an opportunity to speak to legislation at the beginning of our agenda and also address any issue at the end of the agenda. But if an piece of legislation is being passed on a first or second reading, individuals are allowed to address them at that time also. As Mr. Hatridge has already pointed out, my memo states that we can allow, if we vote to allow citizens to speak at this meeting, we can do that. We can, have that in the provisions. One of the key things, though, is that starting times for the committee of the whole depend upon our legislation. So after Thursday afternoon Colleen, Ms. Martin, Ms. Hawks and I meet and we discuss the potential, how long are the discussions going to be, knowing that we have a time frame to work with, and that is that we have to start our published council meetings at 7 o'clock. And we also try to take in consideration how much Mr. Baca is going to want to try to sneak in there periodically. So that determines. And we have started sometimes 5:30, 5:15, depending on the length of our council meetings. If we allow citizens participation, we'll have to try to take that into consideration, especially if it's a controversial issue. Then if we back up more into 5 o'clock time, some of us are retired, but we do have people who are working full time, and that puts an issue on them being able to get to a meeting on time in preparation for that. The committee of the whole was designed to make the city council work efficiently, and we have done that. We have streamlined our meetings. There are many people who were not on council before we had committee of the whole. We used to have to set a 3-hour time limit to our council meetings because we would be here till 11 o'clock at night, and then, our later. So at 7 o'clock we started setting a 3-hour time limit, and then we would vote at that end of the 3 hours as to whether or not we should extend the meeting. And there were times that we got out of here 11:30, midnight. So what we have done to streamline the efficiency of how we handle our work has helped tremendously. And also, one more point, we are the 9 elected officials to decide what gets passed as far as the city's operation is concerned. And I think it's important that we have this type of a work session where we are free to discuss what we think is the right thing to do as far as the council is concerned. I think if we begin to include too much participation at this level, we're actually adding a council person to the dais in effect, and there's 9 of us who have been elected, and I think we have to just really be careful on what we do. So while I commend her for her thought, I think that we adequately take care of citizens' comments during our meetings, so I would be opposed to this. Mr. Wolf.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I as well. Mrs. McDougall, I love the idea of additional participation. My concern all along has been the time frame that we would have to do this, and I would prefer, after reading this, I would prefer that we on an ad hoc basis decide to suspend the rules if there's a hot button issue, or if there are a lot of people that want to speak, or if we think there are a lot of people that want to speak, as opposed to leaving it open and not being sure that we're going to finish by 7 when we're legally required to start the meeting. And that's been my only concern all along, and I've talked to Mrs. McDougall about it, Councilwoman McDougall. So, yeah, that's the only place where I'm hung up is the time frame and no ability to cut off comments at any point in running up against the council meeting.
All right, thank you, sir. Ms. McDougall.
Thank you, Councilman Cudley. I think we could make arrangements that doesn't happen, that if the council or the comments of the individuals was at the end of the meeting and there wasn't time, that they wouldn't have that opportunity. I'd also like to say that I think this should at least go on to council's agenda. I know Councilperson Grandello is supporting it, and she's not here today, and I don't see any harm in putting this off and having more discussion about it and deciding this later on during council's agenda instead of not even giving us the opportunity to discuss it further. So I would ask that you at least move it on and let us discuss it further and until Councilperson Grandella can be here as well. Thank you.
Ms. Barner.
Yes, thanks, Councilman Cudley. And I agree. I'm trying to be diplomatic and devil's advocate and see both sides, because I as well have joined council at the same time as Councilman McDougall and have not seen how it was conducted in the past. I always do feel that it's a great opportunity for our citizens to comment. However, in hindsight, being that we just see the agenda as well, it's really difficult to gauge what they'd even have something to chat about or come to talk about. At the same time, I do think given the 3 minutes for the citizens does give them a time frame. So I as well would love to see something like this to have further discussion to passionate about having the people speak, and I know that that's why you're on council, because you are such a passionate person about things like this. So thank you, and I would love to see this having more of a consideration.
All right, thank you. Just to reply, Ms. McDougall, to your last comment about putting it at the end of our agenda and then allowing it if we have time. As chairperson, I would hate to be here and handle the wrath that we might have if all of a sudden there's a hot issue and we come near to the end of the meeting and we have to say, I'm sorry, but you can't talk. I would much rather keep it the way it is now, and if there is a hot issue, we can always decide, yes, we'll allow citizens to comment. But for them to come here to the meeting with the expectation of having the ability to talk and then denying them that right, I think we be asking for a lot of controversy and problems on our part. Mr. Baca?
In regards to hot issue, I don't know how they would know it's a hot issue until it came to this committee. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
It would be a hot issue at a council meeting after it was at this committee. But before that, how would this, unless they follow it faithfully and they're in the offices here, I don't understand how they could know it's happening before we know it's happening. So I don't foresee that happening with a hot issue at the council, at COW.
As far as a process matter, the last time we did this under the Committee of the Whole is that we amend our rules at the Committee of the Whole. We vote on them here and then pass those that are being voted, that were approved on to City Council for action. So it is here that we make the initial decision as to whether or not that rule gets forwarded to. I don't think a decision made here is going to change at City Council. So we would be debating this twice. So if we're going to have a rule change, now is the time to make that motion. Mr. Baca?
Well, in all fairness, 2 more weeks is not going to make a difference. I would say just keep it on miscellaneous until 2 weeks from now when everybody's here. I'm not very full.
Is there a motion to keep this on our agenda for 2 more weeks?
Are you saying just table this?
Postpone it? Postpone it?
Postpone,
Still move.
It's been moved and seconded to table. Postpone. It's been postponed. Ms. Martin, please call the roll.
Ms. Garner? Yes. Mr. Hatridge?
Yes.
Mr. Corbett?
No.
Mr. Kovach?
No.
Mr. Cudley?
No.
Ms. McDougall? Yes. Mr. Baca? Mr. Wolf?
No.
So that motion fails. All right, so do we have a motion to amend the rules? Mr. McDougall? Okay, it's been moved and seconded to allow for citizens' participation at our meeting. Any further discussion? Mr. Hatridge?
Pardon me, but I thought we just voted to postpone this.
The vote failed.
Okay.
It was defeated. The vote was 5-3. So we have to move, if a motion is going to be made to amend our rules, which it just has been done, then we are going to vote on that amendment to our rules. It was 1. It was 4-4, so it still fails. 4-4 fails. Okay, so we have a motion before us to amend council rules to allow citizens' input. Seeing no further discussion, yes, Mr. Horvath.
Can I go back and change my vote?
Mr. Horvath?
Can I go back?
Yes, you gonna change your vote?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I just think it means, I'd like to give Ms. McDougall the opportunity to say how much they would like.
Okay. All right. So it is postponed. Right, okay, thank you. That brings us to the end of our agenda. Seeing no further, Mr. Horvat, you have, or is that what you wanted? Because your light is blinking. Okay, it just started blinking here, so. All right, that brings us to the end of our agenda. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
It's been moved and second to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, that motion passes.
Question is, I guess the question to be asked is, can we say we will allow no more than a specific period of time regardless of the